house. I don't know what you call it really. House. Well, the Daily Mail called it a shed. That was the only bad thing they said, like. But obviously it's made up pallet wrapping, the main frame, and then the rest is like you've got a wine rack up there to obviously talk about my alcoholism. Car springs. This is a gate to a festival, because I used to work at the festivals when I was in my heyday. It's probably a way to put it. I used to work at Glastonbury every year. Then you've got each panel, so you've got, let me go, this is the roof. That's where the inside bit sticks to the top of the roof, I don't know what you call it. And this is underneath. You've got obviously another part of the roof, front wing, back panel, but done in the shape of the car as well. That's very clever there. Floor pan, obviously the boot, the bonnet, another part of the bonnet. This was a rack from the school. Another side panel, another front panel. Then there is this wall I really, really like, because obviously it's me giving credit to school. It's the only bit I didn't decide to paint. Then obviously you've got the little story. So when I was like sleeping in my car, I still had my cameras, I had my computer. I literally used to sleep with the computer down my trousers. So just in case I got broke into, like, you know. Obviously your toothpaste, etc, etc. There was going to be a sound piece, but it didn't quite work when we tried to put it in. Seatbelt, that's to talk about the safety element of the car, even though, like, you know, it shouldn't be a house, right? It was my safety mechanism. It kept me alive, so I had to have that in. The roof, when you look at it, is in the shape of a double bed, just to emphasise that I slept in it. And then when you look at this panel, I'm a massive Formula 1 fan, Lewis Hamilton, obviously, and I wanted to make this like it was like the 80s sort of like Formula 1 car. So you've got the front wheel, I don't know what you call it, like steering wheel, and then because of the bumper on the front there, it makes it look like the side panels of the car, which I really, really like. Also, a lot of people say it looks like a double-decker bus, which then highlights the fact that there are people sleeping in double-decker buses on a daily basis in the UK. Then obviously you've got another part of the bumper, and then the clothes are folded like they would have been in the military. And that was really important for me because it highlights that thing that you don't lose. You know, when you're, I don't know, broken and really built to be a soldier, there's things that you never forget, like pairing up your socks. I still do that. Folding my underpants, still do that. The folding of everything. Down here in the bottom panel, so this would have been how we would have like folded like our tops, jackets in the military. That's come down a bit because the foxes attacked it during the night. Paired up socks, ball gown, and that's to sort of like highlight the LGBT side of the military, which affected my life so much. And then obviously done as if it was like a chest of drawers and stuff. And then most people who know me will know this cap, because that's my cap that I've been wearing now in most of my shows for about 10-15 years, I think it is. It's funny, like when I did my show at Tate Modern, I wasn't wearing my hat that day and nobody recognised me. They just kept walking past me. I was like, "What, Pandora, what are you doing?" Like, you know? And she's like, "Oh shit, I didn't know it was you." And I was like, "Why? You ain't got your hat on." I was like, "Oh, okay." What else is it about the car? It's the same make, model, year. I got it from Sheffield. It took me 5.5 hours to cut the metal off the frame. It was an absolute nightmare. I nearly took my head off because my angle grinder caught a bit and literally come out my hands because it was chucking it down with rain straight past my head. Nearly didn't get a show. And then pallet racking, that came from Manchester. And it was quite a nice trip down getting that. I've never been across the Pennines before. It was a really, really beautiful trip. I documented everything on like video and that as well. So there's something else in here which I can't remember.
How did you design it? I mean, how did you put this together?
Yeah,
I mean, it's incredible.
It was quite weird, right? I knew I wanted it where it wouldn't normally be placed, like with the bonnet and the bumper as the roof light, you know what I mean? And then obviously you've got the roof and the side panels and everything's sort of like cut and mixed and matched, and it was, at one point I didn't think I'd have enough metal because I was going to fill it all completely. But then I was like going, I think it loses something. If I panelled it all, it would just be a dark red box, and that's not what it was like when sleeping in it. Obviously I had the blanket type thing as if it was like, you know, covering and taking that away the sight of people. I was going to have like a little bin bag and a bucket, but then I decided not to do that bit just in case it got used. And yeah, I think for me, I knew what size I wanted. It was all dependent on the pallet racking. If I could get enough for the price, because it was the different, it was ridiculous amounts of pricing. It's cost quite a bit of money to produce, more than I should have paid, really, way more. It bankrupt me, but do you know what? I wouldn't matter if I'd spent 10 grand making it. The pain of making it was really difficult. I didn't think it would be that difficult, but I was crying every single day. It was surreal. And my sister would phone in, she's like, "What are you crying for?" I was like, this cut, it's just too much, I can't do it. Like, and she went, "David, you do this to yourself every single time you make an artwork. Why do you do this to yourself?" She has to go at me like, and then she says, "But this is why your art's so good." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll do that."
You just spoke about the performance that you'd done, and that was having that sense there was something troubling you.
Yeah.
But to have that in an object, I mean, my own practice is not object-based or, you know, I'm a visual artist, but so I get the thing of having an emotional attachment to something. So,
and this is why I didn't think it would cause me as much pain, because it wasn't my actual car, right? Even though it looked the same and it's the same shape, etc., etc. But I remember it was chucking it down with rain, and I was there with the angle grinder, and I was crying. I was like, I can't believe I'm cutting up a car that literally saved my life, right? And it just felt wrong. And then I was like going, I had to justify, well, it's sat in a scrapyard, it's gonna be thrown away, it's got no life left. At least you're now giving it another life, that it can go and travel again. So that's the only way I justified it. But the pain, because I was really ill when trying to make it. I kept getting really sick. Didn't realise at the time I had my kidneys and stuff were infected. So there's me like trying to weld. Broke one of my welders, and because I was like crying and knocked up, I then lost my rag with it, got a mallet and smashed the crap out of it. I really wanted to put it into it, but I couldn't figure out where to put it. But it was smashed to smithereens, and then I had to phone the foundation and go, "No, can't do it. I broke my welder. Well, actually, I've smashed it into smithereens." It just kept blocking, and it was like really annoying me. And I'm not the best welder, as you can probably tell.
It's an incredible construct.
I had to cut it in half. Like, that was the thing. I couldn't get it in the van. The day we were delivering it here, and the guys from Saatchi, bless them, 5 of them came over to help load up the van. The paint was still wet. I'm like, this should be dry by now. This is crazy. They're all getting covered in paint. We got it out of the school, which I thought would be the problem, and I went, that ain't gonna fit the van. And I was like, I either cut the back door of the van, which I was so close to doing, or cut this in half. So I had to cut it in half, and you can see there's like these makeshift brackets that I tried welding again, like while I was here, and it wasn't having any of it. Cut here, and then we cut here, which I still haven't repaired on. Cut here and cut there, and it was just heartbreaking after 6 weeks of like planning, putting it together, and I was like, I can't believe I'm cutting this bloody thing in half. Like, it's funny, right? Because when the guys came to help paint it and stuff on the last 2 days, because I was running out of time, and I hadn't seen any of it together. It was all like separate panels, and we painted, and I went, I need to put some bolts in this before I take it to Saatchi to see if it actually comes together. This was literally on the day we were moving. Anyway, we lifted it all together, and I just cried, man. It was just so powerful to see that image that I had in my head, and I drew. I'll show you actually on my iPad the original design. It was better than I could have imagined. My biggest worry was this panel, because when we got it into the van, it was just like, everything was just so rocking. I went, if that breaks before I get it to gallery, I am going to be so upset, because that was the only window we could save from the car. You probably noticed there's no doors. Obviously there's no door, but the guys sold my doors. By the time I got to to go and cut everything off, they went, oh yeah, we sold the doors 2 days ago. I went, I told you I was coming today. Why is that my doors, man? But I thought about buying some others, but I went, I don't think it needs it. It's
How long did it take to construct and make it?
Yeah, so 6 weeks in all, and that was like designing it, going and collecting all the metal, which was a 3-day thing, and then probably build-wise, I would say about 5 days, all in all. Yeah, 'cause it was about 5 full days, long days. But yeah, I had to take a whole week off. The first weekend I was doing it, I got so upset I couldn't go back for a week. It was really strange. I still don't know why I got so upset. It was just something like, I don't know, there was something niggling away at me, sort of about the whole thing. And that's when I knew that it was the right thing I was doing, like the right artwork I was making, because everything that could go wrong went wrong. Like from running out of money to build it, like welder blowing up, we lost electric on site, and because I had a plug socket coming out of a wall, I didn't have access to the building. I couldn't do it one day. It was just, yeah. And then I think 2 or 3 days before delivering it to here, I was crying on my phone, like having a rant, like, you know, to myself, saying, that's it, give up, I'm not going to get it finished, been defeated, blah blah blah. I phoned the foundation. I said, look, sorry, it ain't going to happen. Like, you know, I said, I've not got time to paint it, blah blah blah. And then bless them, they phoned the Saatchi and said, have you got any volunteers? And 5 of them came over, they helped paint it, and then we pulled it together. I cried. It was really powerful. It was, I think that was the thing, when I was running out of time, and Justin was the same, like, you know, I think because we've got that image and nothing else is going to do unless we've got that, what we like planned to do, I think. And having come from where we've come from through addiction and homelessness and stuff like that, to be offered a show like this, such an important, like, you know, host and stuff, I was like, if I balls this up, that's it. I ain't going to get another chance. And that's all what kept going through my head, like, you know, people like me don't get shows like this, like, you know, so, because I make social justice work, right? So I'm not a commercial artist, I don't make commercial art, it's social justice. I talk about problems, and no one ever gives social justice a space to exhibit, ever. Like, so when they said to me, they went, "Can you make a piece for the show?" I went, "You do know the type of work that I make?" It's depressing. And they were like, "Yeah, like put whatever you want in." Because obviously I slept in my car, but well, they want to talk about the different perceptions and everything. I'm gonna have to do the car. Originally I was gonna do a painting of it. That would have been fucking boring, isn't it? This is it's exciting because it's interactive and people can take what they want from it, which I find quite nice, that they get a different feeling or story from it. And I wanted it to be house-like. It's a two-story, like, you know, you could easily put another floor in and actually sleep up there. I slept in a camper van, very similar to this actually, all across Germany. But yeah, I'm really proud of this piece. I think it's one of the hardest pieces I've ever made, which is really weird because I think I say that about all my pieces. Like the opera in Manchester was insanely hard, but it was different. You had that whole support team, stuff like that. Unknown Soldier was hard, mainly because I went on tour with it on my own, and I don't think I should have done that. And that's what made it difficult. And then the shaking and everything, and that's when you know that you pushed a little bit too far into the trauma. But with this one, because there wasn't a trauma really associated to the car, it was that love of the car, and that's why I kept crying, because I knew how much it meant. And I think I probably would have been dead if I was like proper rough sleeping, because I was so ill at the time. And so in a way, this, you know, it did keep me safe and alive. Even though I did try killing myself on the last night on the streets, but we don't need to talk about that one. No, but do you know what I mean? It's just like, for me, it's like I ran away from everything for years and years and years and years and years. Wouldn't talk to people about my problems and what I'd been through and the addiction problems I was having and all of this. And you sort of live in your isolated bubble, don't you, right? And I think when I started to accept things, and I went, David, you're more than this, man. You're more than this, like. And when I went, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a break from the drink, the drugs, the partying and stuff like this. And that break then just extended and extended and extended. It made you see what was actually happening in life, right? Because I just plodded along. I was working at it, like blah, blah, blah. But nothing was ever achieving anything. I was never finishing, like never getting that next step. And I kept blaming myself and the job and all these sort of things. And in a way, when I had my stroke, I think that was the sort of like turning point of things going really bad. But then it was also the catalyst for me to start thinking, actually, we've got to start thinking about yourself, like. And I think that's what this piece is, like, you know, it's that starting point, that thing when I know I put it up on Twitter yesterday. I went, remember that first night in the car, and I go, oh, it's easy this, like, I've been in jungles, I've been in war, I've been to like the Arctic, I've survived and all that. It's going to be a breeze, isn't it? Like, I was like smiling away, I was so like cocksure of myself, like, you know. And they don't tell you about people. Those sort of things, you're there, you're on your own, you're surviving, right? You're a soldier, you have to. But when you're on the streets of London, man, humans can be fucking cruel. And I think that's what it was. They'd be coming along, bashing my window and stuff like this, and it'd be like, they'd be like, "Well, what are you doing in your car, man? You're scared," like, and all this. And it's just like, yeah, thanks for that. You know, I'm having a bit of a low point, like, you know, fuck you. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, but then you'd also have that generosity of some people, which was really nice. And obviously that happened when, like, obviously Gavin saved my life. But it's just, yeah, I think it was heartbreaking watching it being crushed. Like, and I always said that I'd address the car situation at some point in my career. I wasn't intending it to be this show originally. I was intending to do something different, but I think it was a worthy show of talking about the car, and their faces when I dropped it, like we put it in here, the curator was like smiling. Forgot to cover up the begging signs, which I don't really like. I hate those. But you know, I think I wanted something where people walked in and went, "Wow, okay, wow, I was not expecting that." Like the scale of it, like type thing, because I could have done it smaller, but then it would have looked like a shed. And because of the shape I wanted to do it in. So if you look at it, right, if you stand back, it is like it's got a car shape to it. So sort of like you've got that long bonnet and then it comes over. It's sort of like as if it was a geometric Peugeot 206 in a way. And that's basically what it is. It's the car. I don't know whether it's the actual exact measurements. I should have I could lie and say it is, but I'm not going to do that. It was just, yeah, putting it together, it was difficult because I wasn't going to flatten the panels originally. I wanted it all to be a bit like, I can't remember the architect in Barcelona.
Gaudi.
Yeah, I wanted it to be very Gaudi-like, right? But in the end, it just wasn't working. It was really hard to fit. So, because I smashed my welder up with the mallet, I thought, well, might as well flatten everything with the mallet as well. And that was great. I enjoyed that.
What happened straight after the show?
So, at the moment, I'm dreading having to store this under my bed. I don't think it'll fit under my bed. It's going to go into storage, first of all, and then we believe we're going to go on tour around the country with all the artwork. That's what we're hoping. Since the show opened, in the first 16 days, we've had 16,000 visitors, more than they were actually expecting. And we've been inundated with venues, which is great. Home and abroad, which is amazing. So I think it will get a little journey, which is quite apt for, like, you know, the car really. Hopefully it'll, you know, go to Sheffield and sail over.
Go home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll send you photos of like some of the actual what the car looked like after I'd taken all the panels off it. Literally, it looked brilliant. Like I'd like to buy that and have that as an exhibition, like in itself. But I think, yeah, I'm really proud of this one. It was difficult to build. One, I think, just because I'm not very good at welding, and I was getting frustrated with it a lot, and I'm not very good at measuring stuff as well. I tend to.
You can't tell.
I know, right?
Actually, no. I wouldn't
some of it is like the same, but the roof, like the two different heights. I'm going to say that I wanted it to be like that, but realistically, no, I didn't. I would have liked that to have been a little bit straighter, but it actually works quite well. It's heavy. It is really heavy. I can move most of the panels on my own. But this one, that one, that whole panel is just too heavy to move because it's top heavy as well. So all the weight's up at the top there. That is surprising. That weighs a ton, absolute ton.
Well, I suppose also because you lift it up.
Yeah.
Think, that's going to be really
I know, right?
light, like
yeah.
feather light kind of thing. But
when I did the framework,
isn't it? So.
Yeah, exactly right. When I did all the framework, and that was all really easy to move. A bit like floppy because it's like hollow, which I didn't realise like it would be like this. And then when you cut into it, it loses the whole support. Like the strength goes straight away. So then you do have to put a lot of like strengtheners in. this was the first panel I designed. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. The only thing I changed on it was the bumpers. They weren't originally going to be there. But then so if you come from the outside, when you actually look at it, it literally does look like a Formula 1 car, because it's like as if you were sat down in the bucket seat, you'd have going past like the old McLaren, Marlboro bloody, I can't remember it was McLaren actually, wasn't it? Yeah.
I'll take your word on that. I wouldn't have shown experienced
I love Formula 1. But like I said, it also looks like a double decker. And I'm quite renowned for painting double decker buses all the time. Not the actual ones, I'd like to do that. But yeah, I do like little 2-minute drawings. Made me money. Paid my bills.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, I think this is probably my favourite panel actually. To get that down from Sheffield with all this loose metal flying around, and the mic driving is terrible.
It's incredible.
Really well did it. I decided not to paint over it, to be honest with you. I was going to paint it and put it all back so people wouldn't know, but I was like, actually no, I think I'm going to leave that, because I think it really adds to it. It shows that sort of like pain of like, it was so funny. We cut it in half, got it in a van, got it here, and then it took me another 5.5 hours outside of like rebuilding it. It was an absolute nightmare. One of the guys was helping to rebuild it, and I was swearing a lot. I hadn't had lunch or breakfast, I was like hungry now. But yeah, it's pretty nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you.
It's probably like the best quote